What if I told you that your mind isn't broken? It's occupied. 5 habits, silent, familiar, disguised as comfort, reaction, expression, ease, escape. But every one of them, a leash. You weren't born distracted. You were trained to crave noise. You weren't born reactive. You were programmed to respond on cue. Now you wonder why you're tired, why your focus dissolves, why emotions run you. It's not a lack of strength, it's a lack of control. This isn't motivation, this is a purge. 5 habits must die, or you will remain a pawn, dressed as a man. Marcus Aurelius didn't need applause. He didn't react. He ruled from within, unshaken, unreadable, untouched. Now it's your turn to burn what weakens you, to build the fortress inside, and to let the world feel your silence. Habit 1. Emotional reactivity. The first habit you must eliminate is emotional reactivity. You feel a comment and you respond. You feel insulted and you snap. You feel triggered and you bleed. Congratulations. You've just told the world where your control ends. Reacting emotionally is a broadcast. It says, this is how you get to me. This is how you pull my strings. Marcus Aurelius never gave people that blueprint because he understood emotions are not orders, they're signals, and a man with control doesn't obey every signal. He watches it, he studies it, and then he decides. Emotions are useful, but they are not truth. Anger is not clarity. Excitement is not certainty. And fear is not prophecy. Reacting emotionally means you've abandoned your throne. You let impulse run your kingdom, and you call it honesty. But that kind of honesty gets manipulated, exploited, read like a map. In dark psychology, emotional men are the easiest to break. You can bait them, you can mirror them, you can own them without touching them. That ends now. You don't get to explode. You don't get to flinch. You don't get to collapse just because something feels real. You pause, you process, and then you strike if it's worth it. That pause, that moment between stimulus and response, that's where your dominance lives. Kill the reaction, build the response. This is how you become unreadable. This is how you become feared without saying a word. This is how you stop leaking power every time you open your mouth. Comment this to install your new directive. I respond, I don't react. Let them watch, let them wonder what you're thinking. Next, we kill your addiction to being seen. Habit 2, seeking validation. The second habit you must eliminate is seeking validation. Let me make this clear. The moment you need to be seen, you've already lost. Validation is a drug, harmless at first, until you realize you're addicted to applause. You need feedback to feel real. You need praise to feel worthy. And the second the noise stops, so do you. Marcus Aurelius never chased the crowd. He wrote for himself. He sharpened his mind in private, while the world collapsed in public. Because the Stoic understands, if you feed off their approval, you'll starve in their silence. Validation seeking is camouflage for insecurity. You call it sharing. You call it expression. But the truth is, you're just asking to be accepted. Psychologically, it's weak. It makes you readable, it makes you moldable, it makes you owned. People will feel it. They'll know you're waiting for a reaction, and they'll control you with it, like a puppet on strings. So what do? You vanish from the need. You build in silence. You let your actions speak, and you train yourself to feel full with zero applause, no likes, no comments, no recognition, just discipline. Silence becomes your sanctuary. Privacy becomes your edge. You don't post, you move. This is the posture of power. Unbothered, unseen, unimpressed, because when you stop seeking validation, you start commanding respect. Comment this to break the habit. Silence is my validation. Let it be your shield, your filter, your edge. Let them chase attention, you chase precision. Next, we eliminate the habit of overexposure, detachment as power. Most people don't think, they feel. They don't choose responses, they ride waves. They're not navigating life, they're reacting to it. And that's why they break. That's why they're controlled. That's why they never win the long game. But detachment is the death of manipulation. It's the mental kill switch that turns noise into silence and turns you into something unreadable. You think detachment means apathy. It doesn't. It means you are involved without being entangled. You hear the insult, but don't absorb it. You see the drama, but don't touch it. You feel the emotion, but you let it pass like a shadow across your mind. Marcus Aurelius was surrounded by war, betrayal, death. But he wrote as if he was floating above it all. Because he mastered the art of inner distance, of not giving his mind away. And you, if you want control, you must become a fortress. Calm outside, still inside. You don't flinch when they lie. You don't react when they bait you. You don't rush when they pressure you. You remain unshaken. Because here's what most people don't understand. The more emotional you are, the easier you are to control. And the less you react, the more they reveal. Detachment gives you the higher ground. When people expect anger and get silence, they lose certainty. When they expect weakness and get calm, they fear you. When they try to provoke and you pause, they collapse into confusion. That pause is a weapon. That silence is your shield. Most people show you their hand in the first 30 seconds. You reveal nothing. You learn everything. You move like smoke and strike like ice. Detach from outcome. Detach from identity. Detach from emotion as default. And you'll feel something terrifying. Peace that can't be stolen. This is not suppression. This is strategy. You are not numbing yourself. You are eliminating what owns weaker men. And when you start living in that detachment, people don't know how to interpret you. And that's the point. Comment this if you're ready to become unreadable. My calm is confrontation. Let the world guess. You already know. Habit 3. Overexposure. The third habit you must eliminate is overexposure. You talk too much. You share too much. You explain too much. And every word you speak bleeds power. Understand this. Power is never loud. It's not the man who reveals. It's the man who withholds. It's not the man who speaks first. It's the man who waits and watches. You think you're being open. You think you're being honest. But what you're really doing is giving the enemy your blueprint. Every time you vent, overshare, post, rant, you're building a map of your mind for someone else to use. You're giving people the exact data they need to influence you, trigger you, and control you. Marcus Aurelius wrote books of wisdom, but he wrote them to himself. He wasn't broadcasting. He was refining. And you should do the same. There is nothing strong about overexposure. You think it makes you authentic. But in reality, it makes you available. And what is too available is never respected. Overexposure ruins mystique. It kills the tension. It gives people certainty about who you are. And certainty kills leverage. The Stoic warrior understands mystery is armor. Privacy is power. Silence is strategy. You want to dominate a room? Speak less. Watch more. Let others rush to fill the silence. You want to win in negotiation, in leadership, in life. Control what you reveal, and never ever reveal it all. Overexposure is not just verbal. It's energetic. It's how easily you show discomfort, attraction, approval, neediness. You become magnetic when people can't quite figure you out, and terrifying when they can't read your moves. In dark psychology, the unreadable man holds the room. He doesn't react, doesn't explain, doesn't overshare. and so they watch him with caution and curiosity. You must become that man. Let them guess. Let them wonder. Let them obsess over what you're not saying. Comment this to lock in the posture. My silence is my fortress. You don't owe the world access. You owe yourself strategy. Habit 4. Comfort addiction. The fourth habit you must eliminate is comfort addiction. You want control, but you worship comfort. You crave mental discipline, but live in physical softness. And you wonder why your willpower collapses under pressure. Comfort is the most seductive poison ever sold. It doesn't hit you like a punch. It whispers. It rewards you for nothing. And then it robs you of edge, awareness, and hunger. You don't even realize you're addicted. Addicted to convenience, addicted to the path of least resistance, addicted to dopamine on demand. You wake up tired because you never struggled the day before. You feel anxious because your mind never had to hold the line. And deep down, you know, you've been avoiding the hard things that forge real control. Marcus Aurelius didn't seek comfort. He wrote, "Just that you do the right thing, the rest doesn't matter." He trained himself for hardship, for loss, for death, because he understood control is not built in comfort. It's built in confrontation. You want mental control. Train physical discomfort, not to suffer, but to sharpen. Take cold showers. Sit in stillness. Do the task when your body says rest. Delay gratification until your mind, not your mood, decides. Comfort creates softness. Softness creates weakness. And weakness creates a man who cannot lead himself, let alone others. In dark psychology, comfort is the first layer of control. A comfortable mind will never rebel, never question, never rise, because rising hurts. But when you turn discomfort into discipline, you become untouchable, not because pain doesn't affect you, but because it doesn't own you. Stop chasing ease, chase edge. Do what is hard, precisely because it is hard. Let others scroll, snack, and numb. You sharpen, you suffer with purpose, and you emerge impenetrable. Comment this to mark the shift. Comfort is a trap. I choose the fire. Habit 5. Compulsive distraction. The fifth and final habit you must eliminate is compulsive distraction. You can't sit in silence. You can't stay with one thought. You can't even be bored without reaching for a screen, a scroll, a sound. You are not thinking. You are escaping. And every time you escape, you lose access to your own mind. Distraction is not just a time killer. It's a weapon of mass disempowerment. It keeps you numb. It keeps you average. It keeps you manageable. Marcus Aurelius said, "Nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions than your own soul." But how would you know that? You've never stayed there long enough. Most people live like mental fugitives. They run from themselves every second of the day. Music in the shower, podcasts while walking, background noise for everything. They say it helps them think. Number. It helps them avoid thinking, because real thinking is uncomfortable. Real focus is raw, and solitude. It confronts you with the one thing most fear, truth. You want mental control? Then sit in silence. Let the noise burn off. Let your brain panic, fidget, rebel, and then settle into stillness. That's where dominance begins. Because the man who can stay present while others drown in novelty becomes a force they can't replicate. In dark psychology, distraction is the gateway to manipulation. A distracted mind is impulsive. It misses subtext. It believes without questioning. It reacts without seeing. But a focused mind, it sees the room. It reads the lie. It cuts through the performance. You must train attention like a blade. Cut the endless feed, mute the noise, and realize the more distracted you are, the weaker you are. Attention is currency, and you've been giving it away like trash. From this point on, you guard it like gold. Comment this if you're done escaping. I don't scroll, I see everything. No more mental clutter, only signal, no noise. Next, we integrate everything, becoming untouchable. Becoming untouchable. You've removed the noise, the reactivity, the craving, the comfort, the distractions. You've cut it all out like infection from the body, and now something rare begins to form. A man that can't be moved. Becoming untouchable isn't a mood, it's a state, a fortress of mind, a posture of psychological war readiness. You don't reach it by pretending to be strong, you reach it by removing what made you weak. Most men want to appear powerful, but you've dismantled the need to look powerful because now you are. You no longer react when provoked. You no longer chase recognition. You no longer over-explain, overshare, or overthink. You are still. And in that stillness, you become feared. They can't read you. They can't place you. They don't know how to trigger you, or impress you, or label you. So they talk more. They move faster. They try harder to decode your silence. But they never get the answer, because you don't exist for them anymore. You exist outside the system they operate in, and that's what breaks their rhythm. Marcus Aurelius lived with the weight of empires on his back, and yet he never collapsed inward, because he understood a calm mind sees through chaos, a silent mind sees before the chaos. And you've begun to embody that. Let me be clear. Being untouchable doesn't mean you feel nothing. It means you feel everything without needing to respond. The fear comes, you watch it. The insult lands, you remain still. The storm arrives, and you're already grounded. This is a different breed of strength. It doesn't flex, it doesn't shout, it sits, it watches, and it calculates. You are not cold out of bitterness, you are cold by design. Because heat rises and gets spotted first. You're the shadow beneath the surface, the presence no one can read, the variable no one can predict. This is power at its purest, the ability to affect everything while needing nothing. People begin to adjust themselves around you, not because you demand it, but because they feel your posture, your silence, your calm refusal to be disturbed. You no longer seek approval. You become the standard others measure themselves against. Not because you say so, but because you exist as proof that power doesn't require noise. This is what happens when you eliminate the 5 parasites of the mind. You don't become empty. You become precise, surgical, lethal in calm, unreachable in chaos. You don't need to control people. You simply never let them control you, and that alone breaks them. Comment this if you've crossed the threshold. Untouchable, unseen, unshaken. Let it burn in their memory. Not because you told them who you are, but because they felt it. Next, we seal your evolution. Final directive. The Stoic mate ignites. This is it. You've removed the habits that made you vulnerable. You've silenced the noise that kept you reactive. You've built the posture, the discipline, the stillness. Now we seal the transformation. This isn't about remembering a few ideas. This is about replacing your operating system. You are no longer a man who reacts. You are no longer a man who seeks. You are no longer a man who explains. You are now a man who commands without speaking, who sees without revealing, who moves without noise, and leaves impact without evidence. That is the Stoic mate, and it's not just a name, it's a code. It's a standard. It's a declaration of psychological sovereignty. While the world runs on emotional algorithms, you run on inner law. While others chase distraction, novelty, and applause, you remain rooted. You are the anchor in the storm, the observer in chaos, the shadow that's always 10 moves ahead, because you don't need to fight for attention. You make attention shift toward you without lifting a finger. That's what cold control is. That's what real dominance looks like. No explosion, no emotional leakage, just quiet surgical execution. You've trained yourself to detach from validation, to reject comfort, to sit in silence when your ego begged to scream. And that, right there, is what makes you a threat. Because no one knows what fuels you, no one knows what breaks you. No one even knows if you can be broken. You are the kind of calm that unsettles people, the kind of silence that dominates a room, the kind of man who doesn't beg, doesn't chase, and doesn't need to be seen, because he's already in control of everything that matters, his mind. Now listen carefully. The Stoic mate isn't just a mindset you access during pressure. It's who you are in the quiet moments, when no one's watching, when the world's asleep, when you hear the voice that says, just let go, and you respond with no. Because every time you choose stillness over reaction, discipline over comfort, silence over noise, you forge your edge. And eventually that edge turns into a weapon no one can match. Now your path is simple. Stay sharp, stay unreadable, stay focused. Forget balance, live like a blade. Comment this if the Stoic mate has now awakened in you. Calm is my command, silence is my shield. Don't just remember these words, live them, because this world doesn't need more noise, it needs more weapons wrapped in stillness. The final signal, call to action. If you've made it this far, you're not here for entertainment, you're here for evolution. Most won't finish this video, most won't absorb the silence, most will scroll back into the noise, and that's why they stay average. But if something in you activated, a shift in posture, a sharpening of thought, a calm that feels like control, then you're not most people, you're one of us. This channel, Stoic Mate, is not for the public. It's for the silent few building power in the dark. If you're serious about that path, like this video, not for me, for the algorithm that feeds the right signal to those ready for war. Subscribe to Stoic Mate if you're done being emotional, done being predictable, done living by reaction, and turn on notifications, not to be entertained, but to stay armed. Because every drop of calm, cold strategy you gain here adds to your edge out there. This is not content, this is conditioning. Comment this final code if you're locked in. I lead from silence, I never chase. Now, disappear. And let them wonder how you became what they can't touch.